Hello, and a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world, and welcome to today's Postgrad Insight session. As you can see from your screen, we got a special study of masters in AI, artificial intelligence, which is bound to be an extremely popular topic today. If you have any questions, any concerns, there is a live Q&A at the end of the session that will include details on the £2,000 bursary in which Postgrad Solutions offer. But if you have any questions and you'd like to say hi or comment throughout, please use the chat facility. If you're watching on Zoom, if you are watching on social media today, please use the messenger or the post facility, and we'll be sure to say hi or answer any questions that you might have. But for now, I'd like to hand you over to Courtney and Gerhard. They'll take you through the next 30 to 40 minutes, and then I'll be back for the live Q&A at the end. Over to you guys.
Thanks very much, Gareth. Thanks everybody for joining online and or watching this video later on. My name is Professor Gerhard Schnieder. I'm the director of the Institute for International Management and Entrepreneurship, which is one of 5 institutes we have here at Loughborough University London. So very briefly, important to note that Loughborough University has 2 campuses. One is up in the Midlands, East Midlands of England. The other one is in London, and that's where we are. So the programs we're talking about today are London-based. So you will not be asked to travel up to Loughborough. You could obviously do that. It's a lovely little town, but you don't have to. So this is me. I'm a professor of international management, political economy, and I've been here since July 2017. Courtney, over to you.
So hi, I'm Dr. Courtney Reid. I'm a lecturer in digital technologies here at Loughborough London. I've been here since 2023. And yeah, if you take on any of these courses, you would definitely pass through at least a few of my classes. So at least from my side, I work as an interdisciplinary scholar in human-computer interaction and predominantly in music technology. So we have some music technologists in the audience. Just to introduce kind of what we do, London specifically a little bit. One of the main goals we have here, and this is our mission statement here, so hopefully a little summary, but it's really our mission to make sure that not only are you able to take on your studies and get your degree, but also to have your personal growth and your future career come together at the end of your studies. So we're really here to empower you to take your skills, the connections you'll make, industry experts, academics you meet during your studies, and all these experiences you'll have to turn that degree not just into a degree, but into your career and the rest of your life. So this is something that's really important to us in London. You'll hear the word interdisciplinarity will come up quite a lot as Gerhard and I go through and talk about this. So just to give a little bit of information about us, Gerhard, if you want to move to the next slide, thank you. So Loughborough as a university, and again, that's both of our campuses united together, we are consistently ranked in the top 10 of every major league table in the UK. So we're a top 10 UK university, definitely getting one of the best degrees you can possibly get coming to study in the UK. And that includes a lot of strong prominent points around student experience, research. Like I said, London campus specifically, we're really, really dedicated to getting you connected with industry partners, understanding what the practical skills and in context when you get to your work at the end of your degree. So again, not just learning in the classroom, but understanding how that will fit into your industry positions after. And then something really special about our London campus is that we're exclusively a postgraduate campus. So everybody studying with you will also be doing their master's degrees, all one-year masters in the UK. And this allows us to be really, really specialized. So we'll have master's and PhD students who are around working on research and really intensive focus there. Let's go into the next slide. Just give a brief overview of what we have. Of course, in our campus, very bespoke for postgrad, we have a lot of specialized learning spaces for really vibrant and very networked communication with industry partners who come to visit, working in groups, doing a lot of interdisciplinary hands-on experiences together during your courses. We have a lot of tools, resources, software for you to use. Everything's very industry standard. So the things you'll be using during the courses will be what you use when you get to your job afterwards. We're in a very, very lovely part of London, and we have a lot of great creative and social spaces for you to, again, apply your interests, make new friends, really just be a part of our community. Having that small environment, just postgrad, we all really know each other very well, have a great time getting to know you and your interests and really, becoming very collegial together. And we're located in the Olympic Park in London. So when the Olympics were hosted in London, we now have made use of some of the facilities here. So we're in the former press center for the Olympics. And this means that you have access to all these amazing facilities nearby. You could literally walk next door and go swimming in the Olympic pool if you like. Let's move on. So yeah, a little bit more about that location. So specifically on the Olympic Park, we're located in Here East, which is a very tech innovation creativity hub. There are a lot of other businesses and industry leaders, for example, these listed here. So you'll be in direct connection with many, many industry partners. We're regularly working with them. You'd be able to walk around the corner and get that hands-on experience. And we're really a very strong community that works together in this part of London. And London itself is a super diverse and rich, great, just scene for learning. You get to meet so many different people from all over the world, make new friends, see things that are completely different from probably anything you've seen coming from your respective hometowns. Get to really, really take up that that great connection. When you leave your degree, you'll leave with a global network, and not just Loughborough London, but all the other universities and vibrant spaces around the city. So move on next. Speaking of these different bridges and making new connections, we're really, really invested in connecting you with the professional world. So a lot of our pushes towards collaborative opportunities, and we'll go into those a bit more in detail later on. But our campus programs really, really focus on getting connected and in the door with different industry professionals, NGOs, different corporations, local and national, international governing bodies, really, really trying to make sure that this comes into the classroom as well. So we have industry partnerships, connections with lots of top companies operating in London especially, and you'll get to really work on these things through your degree. So not just as a kind of isolated event, but rather as a part of your studies. So move on to the next. Here's this interdisciplinary words come up again. So Loughborough London is extremely unique in this sense. Our main goal, again, is to really help you to apply what you've learned in your studies to the rest of your career and hopefully as a person in the world. So our interdisciplinarity is a huge part of just our core values, the way that we teach, and also us as academic staff when you come to work with us here. We're not really interested in staying confined in different boxes of, I do this field and I'm in this field and so over there is in this other field. We're really looking at ways to learn from each other, to really empower each other through knowledge that we have and can share, and learn how we can collaborate together. And this is what happens in context in the real world. And when you get to your work environment, you'll have to learn how to work with people who have different backgrounds, who are coming from really diverse set of ideals and values in their own fields of study, maybe culturally as well. So we're really, really looking for breaking through that boundary of what a traditional kind of field of study would be. And our curriculum really does this. So we have 5 institutes in the school, and they really blend different disciplinary backgrounds. We're not really trying to restrict to one particular field, but rather pulling information from resources that will match what you're expected and what you need in your day-to-day life, in your career, and then hopefully beyond in collaborations around the world.
Okay, so based on what Courtney just said, we've designed 4 new programs on artificial intelligence, and I really need to stress that this is precisely making most of the unique place that Loughborough London is as a school. 5 different institutes, people from various different backgrounds working together to deliver the best possible education on artificial intelligence. And the way we do this is indeed that, if you take an artificial intelligence program in any random university around the world, oftentimes there will be specialists on AI, computer scientists to teach you, and you will no doubt acquire a lot of important skills in that field. But what you're missing out on is connecting to other functions in organizations and in, you know, businesses, in government and so forth. And so what we're trying to do here really is to bring together experts both on artificial intelligence and computer sciences like Courtney, but also people with expertise in very different fields like myself. I'm basically a political scientist now working in international business. So I'm mostly involved in the management and artificial intelligence MSc. And the way we think about these things is that artificial intelligence is changing the world for all sorts of professions, right? But you can't help these professions unless you know about the profession as well, right? So just knowing about AI is not enough to actually make a contribution, a transformative impact in organizations using your AI skills. So you need to have at least some sense of, you know, what you're dealing with. And that's what, in a sense, these programs do. So I'm going to go through these four, or we're going to go through them in a bit of detail. So the first one I mentioned, this is the one that's based in my institute, Management and Artificial Intelligence. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, please do find me on LinkedIn and connect. I've recently posted an article from the FT there, where they were estimating the number of jobs being created in the consultancy industry due to AI. So organizations are, quite frankly, some of them are panicking, others are extremely excited about what AI is doing to the economy. And companies are looking for advice on how to use these, how to leverage these new technologies and the rapid changes they bring. And for that, they will need a lot of consultancy services. And management and artificial intelligence is one of the career paths that we think our students should consider, is precisely these sort of consultancy on AI, you know, services and manufacturing and so forth. So what we will do in this program is really give you the basics of artificial intelligence, you know, so you would actually learn fundamentals of programming. And Courtney is going to say more about that for those of you who are scared of computers like myself, but nothing to worry about. So you will get these, you know, computer science fundamentals. But you will also get, in this particular program, for instance, a module called Work, Employment and Society, which talks about the transformative change of computer science or of AI, computers, digitization, robotization on work. You know, how work is organized, you know, working from home is something we all know about, but there's all sorts of implications that employers, organizations, companies have to think about. And you also get a module called innovation management, which is obviously also sort of, you know, the transformative. It's not easy to change an organization so that it becomes compatible with the AI world in a sense, right? So these are the skills that come from the management side, and we'll combine them in this program, Management and Artificial Intelligence, to give you a sort of a rounded skill set that employers are looking for at the moment, especially in places like London. The second one, and obviously I'm talking a bit fast here, but you can ask your questions at the end in the Q&A, of course, if there are any. The second one is sports and artificial intelligence. And this is obviously, you know, those of you who have looked up Loughborough will know we're #1 university in the world. And this is, you know, nobody is contesting this. This is not just a marketing tagline. I mean, we literally are the world-leading university in sports-related subjects. And so there's a lot of interest. My colleagues in the Institute for Sports Business, for instance, they do amazing work on the use of AI in sport. So this goes from all sorts of, again, the more organizational things that I was talking about before, but also things like, you know, working with football clubs about how to use AI to tell football players where they should stand when they're not on the ball, where they should run. And it's really amazing stuff that people are doing. So these are the people that will teach you in terms of, you know, the sport analytics, these sort of modules that are on this program. So you will get this, you know, combination of an interest in sports related, you know, sport clubs, but also sport organizations and the use of AI in these areas. So these are the first two. I hand over to Courtney again for the second two, the programs that we have. So the next one being design and artificial intelligence.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so the third degree we have in this kind of new package of AI courses and master's degrees is design and artificial intelligence. And this is really where we come into the way that AI is really changing the way that we interact with the world and with each other, the way that we perceive things, our experiences, just the way that we kind of operationalize and move about our environments. So in this particular course, some of the career opportunities you might be looking into are things like branding and consulting, how AI is being used to kind of revolutionize data management in marketing strategies around kind of meaningful creative approaches to consumer behavior, but as well also getting into the very kind of maybe traditional more sense of design and the way that we create different layouts of interacting and networking with each other, the way that we really understand each other and the societal structures that operate behind a lot of these connectivities that we have. So we really understand not just the AI and the technical skills that go into creating content, creating different creative experiences for a user, but also in understanding how those experiences really start to shape our society. It's no big news that AI is changing the way that we interact with each other, and a degree in design and artificial intelligence will really help to get at the core of what kinds of interactivities and experiences are changing in this new way. And again, really thinking about not just the programming fundamentals, getting your hands on working with algorithms, but really understanding that transformative role of AI. So yeah, really combining those kind of creative, social aspects with the technological experience. And I think, as Gerhard mentioned, it's really important to understand that when you get out into looking for jobs, no one's really looking for someone to be, a computer scientist or working in AI. You will notice that it's working in AI in a particular field, using AI to do something in particular. For example, in this kind of design in AI structure, something like how to engage with a client, how to take different data points that you might have and come up with the best branding strategy. So really the crux of what you'll do has, sort of less to do with AI, and you're more using AI as a tool to really understand how to get where you need to go, how to accomplish these tasks. And this is really what these kinds of degrees are made for. So in this case, really understanding those social impacts of AI on how we work together. And if you move on to the next slide, the final of the 4 AI courses that we'll have coming up soon is digital finance and artificial intelligence. And yeah, it's again no secret or no big news that fintech and working in kind of banking and startups in this sector with AI at the forefront of all this innovation. This has been churning around for the last few years, and it's such a massive field. Especially I see some of the countries people are writing in from. Fintech has become such a huge way that we globalize and work together on an international scale. And yeah, such a massively new place to really develop new technologies. So yeah, if you're interested in working in fintech or in banking systems, or if you're more interested in the regulation side of how AI and how technology is used, how finances are managed, or as well in topics around risk management and mitigation, really that kind of predictive modeling, can we really forecast what's going on at the global level or within small communities, being able to manage data in these kinds of senses. And again, not just, what can I do with data, but really understanding the people on the other side of it and what that means for us as community, both, here in London, wherever you might be joining in from, and then all of us together on an international scale. So again, yeah, you get all of these fundamentals in really understanding the kind of inner workings of AI systems, and then really start to apply it, in this case, things like market analysis, information system security, other data analytics that are specific to more banking and finance. So yeah, you can see through the examples of these 4 courses that it's not just about learning these technical and AI skills, but really understanding how they function in other industry sectors. So yeah, of course, we've got management and all of these things Gerhard mentioned around sport and the way that we are, networking and getting information around sport. And then also around, again, the design, how we interact with each other. And then in finance specifically about how we're really managing our, working together as a global community. So if you move on to the next slide, as a little kind of reassurance, I see some questions popping up in the chat as well about needing prerequisites, needing to have a coding background. is this program, or are these programs for, you know, people coming from different fields? And the answer to all of that is these programs are open for anybody coming from whatever field you might have studied. Again, with that interdisciplinarity that is just quintessentially Loughborough, and especially Loughborough London, we really value the knowledge that you bring to these programs. So we don't expect you to come in already knowing everything about AI, or to have a computer science degree, or to really have any kind of particular degree. We really want students to have an interest in these kind of interdisciplinary and context-specific applications of how AI is changing our world. So just to say as well, I mean, I can say a little bit about myself. I'm not a programmer by origin, although I did study computer science later on. I work as a musician, and I mentioned I work in music technology. So you'll find a lot of us working here, and the staff that you'll work with are doing very much what you will do. We come from a lot of different specializations, things that we know really, really well, and then we're learning and using technology to work for us and to accomplish the goals and the things that we want to do in our own respective fields. So if you're new to programming, don't be afraid, don't worry. A lot of us are in that kind of same place as students originally, and now are working with technology on a day-to-day basis. And this is really what we want for you as students, is to be able to go confidently into your new work experience, and to be able to know the strong grounding in that field, whether that's finance or sport or something else, and be able to apply technology to really work for you. So yeah, we're really, really looking to utilize your knowledge, things that you already have done. You know, if you're applying at the master's level, we know that you're a good student, you've already gone through one degree. So really, really understanding that we can work with and learn from you, and you can learn from each other and your fellow students, to really empower what you've already got going on, and just strengthen it with those technical details and that knowledge about how making AI work in your own context. When you arrive on campus, one of the first modules you'll take is with me. So we have a programming fundamentals course. We start from the absolute basics, and we'll build your knowledge up. So very early in your degree, you'll get really hands-on with programming, building those technical skills. And then as you progress further into your degree, you get into the specifics of how that relates to your career aspiration and your particular field of study, if that's the management or sport or design or digital finance. So you start to specialize as you get further into your degree. And it really is just building you up step by step. So you have, you know, the ability to be really confident and progress through your knowledge. And again, like I mentioned, you know, all of us here working are, you know, of course, not immune to the massive interest in AI going on in research. So a lot of us are building new applications and interdisciplinary connections between AI and technologies and various different fields around social discourse, around finance and management, you know, all the way down to we have staff who are really building all of these technical systems as well, in conversation with those application areas. So again, the interdisciplinarity is the biggest point for us. We really want to work together to be able to utilize this technology to make the world the kind of place we want it to be, and to learn from each other's knowledge to do that really well. So very small summary: if you are new to programming, but these courses are interesting to you and you want to make sure that you've got that that technology skill set, then you're in absolutely the right place. Don't have any fear over computers or programming or anything like that. We would definitely make sure that you have the ability to learn and to gain that knowledge on your own, with a lot of support from us. Yeah, so that's the last of my little 2 cents about that. Gerhard, I don't know if you want to swap over then talk about the Grand Challenges module.
Yeah, so this builds on what Courtney just explained to you about, you know, like how we conceive of AI as a tool to, you know, do other things. So it's not an end in itself, obviously, right? It's something that needs to connect to our society, and to the workplace, to the economy, and so forth. And this is really in the DNA of Loughborough London in terms of I can say hand on heart that we're really quite unique and sector leading in terms of how we bring together people, specialists from different areas, in order to deliver you an interdisciplinary offering of modules. And this will help you a lot when I talk to employers. They don't want specialists that are narrow and don't look outside the silo in which they're trained. They want people who can engage and work together with other people from other fields in order to create, new products or transform the organization, new services, and so forth. And one thing we do is, in order to take this a step further, is a module called Grand Challenges. And this is sort of driven by the increasing recognition that universities and people that we train, so you guys, need to make a transformative impact on not just, their career, but on the world that surrounds us, right? In particular, we're thinking of climate change, geopolitical instabilities, things like that are huge challenges that humanity faces. And we cannot afford to just, ignore the big problems in the world anymore. And this is very big in many universities, but we have this unique new module called Grand Challenges, which is sort of a collaborative module where you will be put into groups with people from different disciplines, from different programs, from different institutes, and where you will be taught by people from other institutes as well, in a way where you actually actively contribute to sort of thinking about how we can solve grand challenges, right? So grand challenges could be anything of, migration in the world, climate change, net zero transition is a big thing in management studies, for instance, or political economy. How do we, get from, huge CO2 emissions to a place where firms use a lot less, or emit a lot less CO2. All these things cannot be solved by just management scholars or just engineers or just computer scientists. They need a dialogue and collaboration. And so the collaborative skills is something that employees are very much looking for. And again, this is not just some sort of thing that I'm making up. This is literally what employers tell us when we ask them to hire our students, is like, have these people learned to collaborate with people who are not from the same background? Grand Challenges is a module that allows you to do that. And we're sort of trying to focus this around the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which is an increasingly important guideline for many corporations as well, that they are following in their when they develop the strategy. So this is very sort of applicable in the real world, as it were. And it sort of also relates to Loughborough University's ethics of, making better futures together. That's sort of our new strategy for the past few years. So this is, again, a very applied and a very sort of problem-solving oriented way of learning for you, but it gives you not just the hard skills of knowing how to program, knowing how to do strategic analysis of a corporation's market environment, but it also gives you the soft skills of being able to explain your expertise in terms that somebody like me could understand it, for instance, right? So that's just one new module that I wanted to flag, because we're all very excited about this this new module that really is becoming core to our programs here. More broadly, our approach to learning is very innovative. So we do block teaching. That's something you should be aware of. Sometimes people join us here in October or January and expect semester-long modules, but actually we are teaching in 3-week blocks. So you have 3 weeks of full-on teaching, and then 1 week of assessment, or like assessment within the following week. So 4-week blocks in a sense, where you focus on just one subject, right? So that's students tend to like that, because it allows them to focus, to not think about anything else, just focus and get the exam done, out of the way, and then move on to the next module. As Courtney also mentioned, we are very much keen on providing you with skills that are actually relevant in the real world. So industry relevance is absolute our top priority. And if you look at our rankings in terms of employability, we're doing very well in that respect. So we are really keen on you getting the opportunity to, test your learning with people from the real world. And this includes, us bringing in guest lecturers from, who work for corporations or international organizations, NGOs, the government, and so forth. But also, in a sense, very hands-on experience in terms of, as I said, grand challenges is one of them. Another module we have is the collaborative project, where it's actually partners, organizations, firms, and so forth, who give us a brief that our students work on together in groups in order to solve sort of, it's a mini consultancy sort of project, as it were, 4 weeks long, where, you work with a partner organization in order to solve a real world problem that they're actually facing. So very applied, very focused on industry relevance, as it were. Yeah, there are, as I said, a lot of collaborative opportunities, and obviously we're based in London. There's a lot of economic activity. A lot of organizations are set in London. We've got partnerships with, football clubs, for instance. Chelsea and West Ham are amongst them. We've got a changing set of big partner organizations that, get involved in our collaborative project, but also that provide us with opportunities for our students to do a dissertation that we call the collaborative dissertation. So where you, instead of writing a purely academic piece of work, you actually get to intern with an organization and write your dissertation in relation to the experience you have working for the partner. So again, this provides you with an opportunity to apply your theoretical knowledge in a real world context, but it also means that you acquire skills that are very sought after by employers in the job market. So yeah, collaborative opportunities are key to our offering. We have a team downstairs called Future Space, and they are the ones who are in charge of these collaborative opportunities. And it's quite frankly one of the sector leading groups of people in this space. I had a chat with a student who started with us in January, and she had offers from 4 other universities, some of them really big names. I'm not going to name any names. And I asked her, quite frankly, I was slightly surprised that she would choose us over some of the big names she had offers from. And she said, well, I met the people from Future Space at a student fair in India, and there's just the other universities, just can't compete with that sort of offering of, real world relevance in a sense. And in particular, I think it's very much, we consider ourselves sort of a springboard in your career. So she said something, when I looked for my undergrad degree, I didn't really mind, whether I would get a job right afterwards. I was more looking for a topic that I'm interested in. But for my master's, I need something that's the next step in my career into the workplace. And she felt, our offering was really quite unique in terms of comparing to other London universities. So this is not me saying that, this is from our students. That said, many of you have already put in the chat, or several I've seen about scholarships and funding for our program. So there is a range of options that you can apply for. We've got quite generous scholarships, for instance, the Global Excellence Scholarship that gives you 90% off. We've got a Global Impact Scholarship that even gets you a fully funded scholarship. They're very competitive, of course, but you can have a look there. On our webpage, there's the webpage is down here. Go have a look and see if you are eligible for these and make sure you apply for them. There's also an excellence scholarship that's, I think this is still automatic depending on your degrees, right? The applied, you don't have to apply for it. You get 20% off.
So assuming that you meet the requirements for your course, you would get an automatic 20%, which is £5,000 to £6,000 off of your degree, depending on the total cost of the degree. So there are some specific questions about degrees coming through in the chat. And if you have a look at each individual course page, you can see what the requirements are.
So that's scholarships and fundings. And then again, I've been tooting our own horn here for quite a while now, but again, don't take it from me or us. Have a look at what our partners say about their experience working with us and with our students, and have a look at what our students say. We have the postgraduate student experience survey is a yearly survey that is carried out in the UK, and Loughborough London, we have about the 95% satisfaction rate, I think, on average. And so students are very happy here. You can obviously also, if you connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm always happy to put you in touch with current students. Obviously, these are brand new programs, so I can't put you in touch with people who've been through these programs, but I can put you in touch with people who've been in my institute, and they're always happy to, have a chat and give you their view of what they how they experience studying with us. I'm very confident that there will be very happy students. So I think that's pretty much it from us. Thank you very much for joining today. And yeah, over to Gareth for Q&A.
Gerhard, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And we've had a huge amount of interest in this webinar. There's over 100 students watching this live. There's many more watching on social media. So this is fantastic. We've had loads of questions come in, and I think rightly or wrongly, for those that are watching, we're going to try and stay clear a little bit of the funding and scholarship, only because it is so personal in terms of where you're from, who you are, what you're applicable for. So if you do have any questions, there has been a link go into the chat facility, and also if you rewatch the webinar, that everyone will be sent again. You will be able to obviously catch up and find out more information once again. Alternatively, reach out on the contact details that we'll share with you later. Gerhard, Courtney, thanks for your time. Let's start by talking about Loughborough, because you're right. You mentioned earlier on, Gerhard, but there's no disputing that you're number one around the world when it comes to kind of sport related courses, and I can agree more. You're a well-established name, UK, international. We'll all know if you go to Loughborough, some of the highest sports stars I've actually studied there. What makes the opportunity to go to London and study the AI course that much different? Because there will be people that say, although we don't need to go to Loughborough, that might be the appeal, but what would counter that? Why would students want to come to London instead?
Courtney, shall I have a first go at that?
Yeah, please.
So I think one of the things that, students maybe sometimes underestimate in terms of the studying in London experience. I mean, Courtney mentioned, it's great fun. We're in Hackney Wick. There's discos and breweries and whatnot around us. We're by the canal. It's a lovely day today.
Amazing conference venues, sporting venues.
Yeah, ABBA Voyage, whatnot. But I think in terms of your career, what it really adds is you're getting to know what it is like to live in a big metropole, in a global city, So even those of you who will not stay here for their first job after studying, you may end up in New York, in Singapore, in somewhere else, and in a sense, you actually learn transferable skills in terms of, living in a global city, in a multicultural environment, improving your English, learning how to deal with these sort of big city, corporate worlds, in a sense, right? Which is something that actually is useful, not just for people who want to find a job in the UK, but also want to take, see their career somewhere in the US, in North America, in the Middle East, in similar contexts, right? And I think that's sort of something that I like to stress, because it's something that people are not always aware of, that this is a huge advantage of studying in London, I think.
Excellent. Courtney, do you want to elaborate a little bit further? I know you kind of spoke up a bit when it was talking about in Hackney and bars and stuff, which appeals to me, but maybe not to some others. Talk to me a little bit more about studying and living in London, because, Hackney being, one of the main areas of London, everyone knows Hackney and what's heard of Hackney. You don't have to live there, do you? You can actually live on the outskirts in North London somewhere and travel in, can't you?
Yeah, well, I'm probably not the best person to recommend that. I moved to London about 8 years ago to do my own master's degree, and I've lived in not in Hackney, but in the next borough over in Tower Hamlets for the last 8 years. So I do really enjoy London. It's a city that I think you can find your home. You don't need to live in Hackney. I always tell people that one of the most interesting, or the things I most appreciate about London, is that it's not really a big city. It's like several, I don't know, dozen small cities that all got really big and kind of smushed into each other. So if you don't like the area you're in, you can just walk, a few streets over and you'll end up in a completely different neighborhood with completely different cultural atmosphere, different kinds of food on offer, lots of different things that you can do and see. So there's really something for everybody being here and living here. At least in terms of your studies as well, it is an opportunity to meet people from all over the world. The friends that I made doing my master's degree in London are some of my lifelong friends that, now you've got friends all over the world who, in addition to just being friends, might also end up being future business partners, might end up being, somebody really important in your life, and you have access to just this massive diversity of people, ideas, innovation, just different viewpoints of the world. I think it's so beneficial doing a degree in London because you get to really see, like, on a small micro scale, what the world is like. You don't end up in that little bubble where you've got your university and then everything else going on. You really get to participate as a student in what happens in the world. And that comes down as well to, like we mentioned before, at Loughborough London, you'll have access to these collaborative opportunities. You get to go and be in companies in London. You'll get to visit or do days out visiting companies in London and really get a sense of what that's like, not just on your own personal life, but also in that scale of your job and your work.
That's a
And I
great
just
follow-on, I think. Sorry, go ahead really quickly. I just think that's a really great follow-on because one of the questions that's been asked by the student, one of the students, Nazir Aslam, is what further degrees and opportunities are eligible and is available to me when I have graduated, or perhaps do you offer internships, is what another student's offered. Because of the partnerships and relationships you've got within London itself, that's got to be huge, hasn't it, Garth?
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before I come to that, what Courtney said is very, or what you said as well is very true. We're super well connected. You don't have to live in Hackney. You could live in Paris. It's only 2.5 hours by Eurostar to Stratford, which is 10 minutes walk from here. So we're very well connected throughout London as well. We had colleagues who lived on the Kentish coast because there is the high-speed train to Stratford, and then you're immediately on campus. So that just to that. But in terms of internships and things like that, we've got all sorts of things. The offer changes obviously from year to year a little bit, but a new thing we have is mini internships, which I just got an email about yesterday, where we're offering students the opportunity to do just a few weeks of internships. But we also have, again, the Future Space team offers internship opportunities every year. So some of them are competitive, others are sort of more standard, as it were, and so we have that. In terms of what other degrees are open, obviously we do also recruit some of our master students onto PhD programs, right? That's also one way for those of you who are more academically minded. And I saw one question in the chat was about PhD scholarships, so we have those as well every year. They're very competitive, of course, but we train you well so that you have a good chance for applying for those at the end of your masters as well. I don't know if that answers your question, Gareth.
It does, yeah. And I'm going to keep on the kind of academic side of things for the time being because I'm sure the intricacies will really interest people. Can we talk about the structure of the course itself? So, what are the class sizes like? Are they large class sizes? Are they intimate? Do they offer perhaps closer to one-to-one learning than perhaps some of the other, let's say, major players that will offer this course in another uni?
I can take that one. So one, like I mentioned before, one of the biggest benefits about Loughborough London is that we have this very small postgraduate community. So you will know your lecturers on a very, very one-to-one level. We know each other's names. We are friendly and pass in the hallway, have a coffee downstairs in the lobby, all kinds of things. So the class sizes at the beginning of your degree would end up being a little bit larger. For example, when you come to study with us, you'll probably have me in programming fundamentals, which is the course that everyone will take to start building those technology skills up. So in those classes, it'll be a bit of a larger size, but you do have the opportunity to then meet the other students who are in the different degree programs. As you get further into your degree and you get into those more bespoke, kind of very individualized courses, the class sizes can be very, very small. I think, we have classes that run with 5 students in them. They're very, very hands-on. It depends on the degree, but yeah, you can really expect that level of intimacy with your lecturers, absolutely.
And one of the questions that's come in is around the course itself. Can they, is a lot of it coursework driven? Is a lot of it assessment driven at the end of the year? Because obviously different students and different personalities suit different types of courses.
If I can just comment on that one, perhaps. I mean, so we have a mix of assessments. My modules, for instance, I teach international business, corporate governance. Corporate governance is on the MSc Management and AI, and that's actually an oral exam where, you're in my office one-to-one. That sounds very scary, but actually students really like it. It's just a 15-minute conversation. Then there's others who have, take-home essays. We don't have any exam hall exams anymore. So we have in-class tests, but there's no end of the year. As I was saying, we have this model of 3 weeks teaching, then a week where you prepare for the exam. And towards the end of that week, you either have an in-class test or an oral exam or a deadline for an essay or a group presentation. So it's a mixture of things, again, in order to give you all the skills, to test all the skills that you have acquired.
Excellent. One of the questions, or multiple questions actually, around I wasn't sure if I could apply because I was studying agriculture or studying accountancy or whatever it might be. I think from what I've understood from this presentation so far is the flexibility that surrounds these types of programs. There is no rigid background anymore. Is that right? That you need to be from? It does open up so many opportunities to so many different students.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really huge part to understand. And again, that interdisciplinarity of Loughborough London. We don't expect students to have a prerequisite degree. So if you've studied agriculture or pharmacy, or I have a lot of students who come from public health, you're absolutely welcome. And we really love to have students coming from other degrees because you will bring your knowledge to these programs as well. So I'll put a link for one of the courses. I've just pulled the one of the design courses, the design master's degree. But you can see the entry requirements and all the information, for example, on the website. So let me just put this in the chat just so you get an example here.
Sure.
You can find all of these degrees on the Loughborough website. If you go to elborough.ac.uk, there's a lovely, helpful search box there. So please do have a look through the degrees we have. But for example, if you look at this one, you'll see the entry requirements are having a 2.2 or higher in your previous degree. There's not a specific degree you need. And again, we really want to work to step up your knowledge. We don't expect you to come in with any kind of background knowledge. It's our job to really make sure that you get the technical skills you need to get where you want to go. So yeah, it's a really, really great opportunity to apply the things that you do know from your previous study or from your previous work. And use that to just grow your technical skill.
And go on.
Well, I just wanted to add an anecdote to this. I mean, I was quite frankly, when I moved here 7 years ago, I was quite skeptical of no prerequisites for a master's degree. And but then in my first year here, I had a violinist actually. So she was actually a musician from Taiwan who came here and studied a master's in international management. And she was one of the best in her class. So we have learned as well to, you know, deal with people from different backgrounds, giving them extra support if they need it, you know, maybe telling them, well, maybe you want to look at this chapter in a textbook in order to catch up with others. And we've designed our modules in a way that they're really accessible to everybody, but also not boring for those who have a background in the relevant area, right? So it's sort of a steep learning curve, but again, we're sort of a boutique university with very, you know, reasonable staff-student ratios, which means you get a lot of support. We've got personal tutor system, so you will have an academic who is responsible for you, and you can go and see them and discuss problems and issues and so forth. So yeah, it's really not an issue, even though, I mean, I was one of those who was rather skeptical of this model, but it works.
And one of the questions that's come in from Mortafa, and apologies if I pronounced that wrong, is student services. You touched upon it earlier, Gerhard, about how there's a team downstairs that will help you all the way through your studies beforehand. But what about when it comes to graduating and the next steps? Presumably there is a bit of a hand-holding exercise where, you know, don't be scared to ask, you know, they're there to help, and ultimately they will put you in the right place and point you in the right direction.
Yeah, so we have career consultants who are here, I think, twice a week. You can book one-on-one appointments. They help you, for instance, design your CV. They even do mock assessment centers in collaboration with other organizations. So where you know, if you were to apply for a graduate scheme, where you actually get this sort of assessment center experience beforehand. And these are open actually also after graduation. I think, you know, we have people who after graduation still have a meeting with our careers advisors. But the other thing I should mention is obviously, you know, we've been around now for 10 years. So in October, we're celebrating our 10th anniversary in London, and we start having a really cool alumni network. So we have something called Careers Insights events, where alumni come back and explain, you know, how they managed to make this step from studying into the workplace. And that also leads to, you know, connections on LinkedIn, having chats and coffees with our former students. And that helps a lot in that respect as well.
Yeah, and I would also encourage anyone, you said at the start, Gerhard, you know, you're not sure how many of those that are watching are connected with yourselves on LinkedIn. It's important, wherever you hear from anyone, you know, pick people's brains, talk to people, you do connect with them, because you never know where you're going to end up at a later point in life, and you're never going to understand or know fully where they're going to be. So always great to get those insights. One final question from me before we do wrap up today. And it was a question I think, Courtney, you've answered in the chat, but I think it's important to elaborate on, is the flexibility when it comes to the types of student that actually apply. Somebody said, what's the maximum age limit? And one of the biggest things that we've seen at postgrad.com is an increase in the amount of mature students now applying. Now, I used to call mature anyone 24 plus, but now as I've got a bit older, I like to call anyone mature 30, 35 plus. But there are huge opportunities now for students all over the world. It's more accessible, and with perhaps families as well. I'm sure you can accommodate for those that are not just, you know, 25, young, single, and have no kind of commitments. Is that right, Courtney?
Yeah, so the flexibility of the degree is really up to your situation. So yeah, about just your age. There's no upper age limit for master's degree students. So we do have a lot of people who will come to get some extra skills to add to what they're already doing at work. We have a lot of students who will do part-time study and then continue on at their companies. In terms of kind of managing the other aspects of life, then yeah, a part-time study might be really, really useful for you. If you're an international student, you do have to study in the UK full-time. And you should note that there are not visas that are available to bring dependents over. But if you have any questions, or if you want to try to figure out how to make the degree work for you, we have such a diverse range of students, and our admissions team is really, really great at trying to figure out how to, you know, get into a situation where you can balance what you're already doing in your life and, you know, other commitments and important things to learning new skills, and to, you know, if you want to retrain or if you want to pick on something extra to boost your career, there are definitely options available. Yeah.
Excellent. And is there a graduation at the end of it? And presumably it'll be in Loughborough or London? Where would it be?
So the
It's in
graduation is in Loughborough, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so anyone watching, you know, you might think, oh, I want to graduate, I want to go to London, I want to go to London, Loughborough, I want to go to Loughborough as well. You'll get that opportunity, no doubt.
Yeah,
But
yeah. It's there's a
Gerhard, if I can give
December.
you the final say quickly in terms of just the graduation that I've mentioned there, and obviously just to wrap up and how a student can go on and apply for the various programs we've discussed.
Yeah, so thanks, Gareth. Yeah, I was just saying, you know, the December graduation, if you start in October, is in you know, in Loughborough, and sometimes with snow on the buildings, and it looks quite Harry Pottery sometimes, and you know, it's great photo ops. We obviously organize the travel there, so that's you know, the coaches that take you there. Anyhow, but yeah, if you're interested, I mean, two things to do: connect with us on LinkedIn, you know, ask us any additional questions. We can also, again, point you to people who've studied here, and then Loughborough webpage for any further information. So look at Loughborough University London's webpage, where you have all the programs listed with the modules that you will get, so we can have a look at those. And again, we're happy to answer any questions. I saw some questions about, you know, deposits and things like that, and quite frankly, I have to say that's something that will be explained on the webpage. I'm not that aware of the details in terms of how much, but there's definitely, you don't have to pay the full amount up front, that's for sure. And yeah, so there are
Anyone watching now, I think there's so much help and so much opportunity to make the use of scholarships, whether it be in-house, external, third party, whatever. Please do go and find out more information, because there's so many different opportunities you can do there. But for now, Gerhard and Courtney, thank you for your time so much. Courtney's just put in a couple of links into the chat about local events that you can attend within your country. I have just posted information on the Postgrad Solutions £2,000 bursary that students can win, and it will be within the AI field as well. If you want to apply, please click on the link, go on through, put your details there, and you'll be entered into the competition. But for now, a huge thank you, Courtney, Gerhard. If anyone has any questions watching live, please webinars@postgradsolutions.com. And if you're watching on demand, same email address, or use the YouTube link, and we'll answer your question as soon as possible. Thank you very much. Take care. Goodbye.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.